Welcome everybody. I'm gonna do something I rarely do on the podcast or the radio show. I'm gonna uh, again. I don't like doing this because I don't like people to take what I'm saying and actually trade on it. And I'll tell you why. Okay. But first, let me get into what I see in regards to the markets and what I've been seeing for a while. Going back, we can go back to late 2021, mid 2021. I wrote a column entitled "Storms Ahead." I'll get into that column. Maybe I'll talk about it this weekend on the radio show. Pull it up. And basically, it was kind of seeing some of the things that I saw on the horizon in regards to the financial markets. What was taking place. Obviously, I didn't know what was going to happen with Russia and the Ukraine, but I just saw a lot of the ridiculous nonsense that was going down. I watched the meme stock crap take place. I kept seeing companies trying to go public via SPACs. I mean, one bit of garbage after another, overvaluation. And I'm like, I've been around this before. So I basically said that, the markets are going to, at some point in time, things have got to reset. Have to. Things have to reset. And I think we're going to see a retrenchment here and there. But for our portfolios at Markowski Investments, we own quality companies. We didn't participate in the run up with all this other nonsense simply because, I never know. I don't know when the music is going to stop and they're going to collapse. And most certainly that music stopped. It's over. It's over. I get stories today. And again, this is stuff that I predicted. We told you, okay? Should rename the show Don't Doubt Me. Snap laying off 20% of its workforce. Announced that yesterday. I was making fun of Bed Bath & Beyond a few weeks ago on the program. You had all of these meme stock people out there with their diamond hands and their Reddit things and the nasty emails I'm getting. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you see the stock? Of course they had to raise more money. When you have to raise more money, you have to sell more shares. It dilutes the float. I don't want to yell. But anyway. Saw a lot of this. And again, I can't predict markets. I can't. So I don't. I don't take my clients' portfolios and make changes based upon what I see for the markets because guess what? You can be wrong. Or your timing can be off. I learned this years and years and years ago. You're going back to the days at Enron where we were one of the few companies out there that pointed out, said, hey, gee whiz, this Enron thing, something's wrong here. I don't care. Fortune magazine said it's the greatest thing since sliced bread for 5 years straight. It just didn't add up to me. How the hell do you make money trading bandwidth? How? I don't know. I got all these energy projects in these third world countries, and how are they going to get paid on this stuff? Anyway, we predicted, well, we didn't predict anything. I basically put out my concerns and I told people to be careful. And after I told people to be careful, the stock went up, I don't know, another 50, 60% over the course of the next year and then proceeded to collapse. Again, you try to avoid all this. You're going to hit periods of time like we've had over the past this year where we're seeing a reset. And if you own high quality companies, if you own companies that pay you to own them, companies that pay dividends, you will do well. You will build up a foundation. You will build up a foundation in your portfolio that can withstand everything and anything that's going to be thrown at it. That's the key. If you get a chance, you go take a look at some of these structures from the classical period. You go back to, go to Rome and take a look at some of the buildings. You take a look at even some of the aqueducts and how they were built. Hey, you know what? You can go to modern times. When we over-engineer things here in this country, take a look at the Brooklyn Bridge. And you say to someone, look at the foundation of this. Look what it's been able to withstand. In the case of, Rome, you've got earthquakes and all this stuff, and these buildings are still there. They're still there because they were built properly. That's what we do. Does that mean that this year our portfolios have gone up by 15 to 20%? No, they haven't. Of course not. Look at the markets, for crying out loud. But when things turn and we own high quality and we've bought more shares, we're reinvesting dividends, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Well, people who listened to us 2008, 2009, readjusted their portfolios, didn't think that the sky was going to fall and the world was going to end. Didn't go out and decide to buy their Glenn Beck gold pack or whatever the hell he was selling at that point in time. I remember he was selling at one time these cards you would keep in your wallet where you could like break off little gold chips just in case people started accepting gold. He actually had the nerve to sell that shit on his show. I'm sorry. I don't pick on the guy, but some of the crap that these guys do to make a living, it's sad to me. It really is. But anyway, it's what you're going to be dealing with. Now, let's get to what I see. Very easily at this point in time, you could see based upon the technicals in what we're seeing in the markets, based upon some of the options action, could we see the market retest the lows? Absolutely. Absolutely. So here's what I suggest. Prepare yourself for that. Prepare yourself for, retest the lows. That's another, 8% to the downside for the S&P from here? Big deal. Big deal. It retests the lows. So again, it will turn itself around. Might it not happen? Yeah. I mean, we could get some economic news that can change things. Some of the things that I'm seeing in regards to the economy yesterday in particular, you had, it's fascinating to me is you take a look at the job openings in the United States, 11 million. And actually that sent the markets into a tizzy. And people say to themselves, well, isn't that a good thing that people can get a job? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. But according to people that are looking at inflation, they're saying it's bad that people can get a job because they're going to make too much money and that's going to cause wage inflation and that's going to spiral through. I'm not buying that nonsense. That's what's being shoved down your throat. I've never bought the idea that, the labor market's hot. The labor market's bad. That's bad for the market. No, wait, what are you talking about? That would people can go out and get themselves a job and make more money? How is that bad? Well, it's inflationary. Companies adjust. Companies will adjust. Businesses will adjust to that. They've been doing it. That's the amazing thing, how adaptable, businesses are. You take a look at what's happened over the past couple of years. The government freaking shut businesses down. They shut them down. We went from basically a full employment in the United States during COVID to 14% unemployment in a month. A month later, kind of turned itself around. They were expecting, 20 million, additional people unemployed and 20% unemployment rate. And it went in the opposite direction. It's like that line. There's that scene. There's a scene at Jurassic Park. The first one. I don't know. It came to my head at this point in time where they started seeing baby dinosaurs at Jurassic Park. And it was Jeff Goldblum's Ian Malcolm's character that nature will find a way, because they were saying, well, how could this be? We only bred females. And nature's going to find a way. Again, businesses will find a way. They'll find a way to adapt. They'll find a way to deal, or they'll move, or they'll just, shut down and change the way that they do things. That's just the way it is. They gave me that goes back to creative destruction with Joseph Schumpeter, where something goes out under, something else is created. That's part of what goes on. But I don't think that the fact that people can find a job is bad. No one likes paying, myself included. I told my wife, I went off on a rant. I mentioned I went off on a rant. We went out for pizza about a week and a half ago, and I couldn't believe what we paid. I couldn't believe what we paid. Service was good. The food was fantastic, all that stuff. And I looked at, but even still, I'm looking at the bill. I'm like, this pizza and salads. Get the flip out of here, for crying out loud. This is nuts. And I'm like, I'm done. I don't feel like going out anymore. I don't. And when something like, we've got our favorite little Greek souvlaki place and whatnot that we get, that it's within reason, but I don't even feel like going out anymore. I take a look at the prices. I'm insulted. So I'm like, it is what it is. But people that are, and you're talking about some of the people that are having a difficult time with groceries and the cost of energy that, aren't able, based upon the money that they're making at their job, be able to take it. They can go out and they can find themselves a second job and help out with that. They might not want to, you might not want to, but at least you can. At least you can. Again, how many times in my life I've worked several jobs at once. Anyway, the options market. There was a story talking about this today. Another see I told you so moment. Talking about the volatility that has taken place over the past couple of weeks. The amount of options that are traded on a daily basis. And want to think of options as insurance to some degree. And oftentimes in the summer months, things can get exacerbated and move in one direction. And again, you can't get out of the way, but there's nothing you can do. Yeah, what I mentioned, I called it Whopper and Skynet. It is what it is. Does it matter? I mean, does it really matter that, your Apple stock's been down over the past few days? Do you have a lesser opinion of the company based upon the fact that it's been down for the past few days? I certainly hope not. Anyway, how have we built all of these portfolios, these foundational portfolios? It's when we call them foundational. Dividends. Part of our Markowski Investments rules of the road. Compounding is the royal road to riches. Play with a compounding calculator and see what your money is going to be worth over time. If that's the case, then you must seek out the best safe yields you can find. It's what we do. It's what we've always done. I've written countless columns over the year. Why dividends now? Old school investing. Trying to get people to understand. You own high quality companies that pay you to own them. Foundational bricks. The funny thing is you're building a house. Think of it this way. You're building a house. You're building a structure. And you got the strong foundation. Later on, as you build up your foundation and your house, and you know what? You want to, put something a little bit more fragile, maybe a chandelier up in that house. You want to think of the chandelier as something a little bit more speculative. That's fine, because guess what? If the chandelier falls or something breaks, it doesn't take the entire house down with it. Same thing. It's proper portfolio architecture that people really need to understand and get their hands around, that you can withstand everything and anything that is going on at this point in time. Anyway, it works every single time it's tried. Anyway, getting a lot of this as of late, actually requests, people actually going back, reading some of my old stuff. There's people in the media, and getting requests to come on programs and talk about some of the concepts that we put forward when it comes to retirement and some of the issues, some of the things that we've seen. I share this with you. I've been doing this a long time, my brothers and I. And there was a line that was told. He said, people oftentimes spend more effort planning a vacation than they will their retirement. What I mean by that is these are people that might have a ton of money. They might have maxed out all of their qualified plans. They're all set and ready to go, but they're not ready for retirement. Yeah, they say, okay, I'm done. And then they start playing golf and they're babysitting the grandchildren and whatever it may be, and it gets tiring after a while. It does. They get tired of it, and oftentimes they feel stuck. Again, I don't recommend it. Okay. I listen, I get it. Sometimes, you've been in a career, you've been doing something and it becomes tedious. I get that. I understand that you want to retire from that career. I'll throw out the traditional 65 and and you want to retire from that job. Okay. And I get this from a lot of school teachers. I mean, they come to retirement, they're done. They've had it. Okay. Do yourself a favor, take a gap year. I know. Sebastian Maniscalco makes fun of that stuff. He's got a great bit on, kids coming and wanting a gap year. But again, you've worked your entire life, whatever it may be. Take a gap year. You want to take a year off? Take a year off. Take 10 months off, whatever it may be. And then find something else to do besides play golf. Find something else to do besides playing golf or tennis or pickleball or whatever it may be. You're going to thank me. Trust me, you're going to thank me. A couple days a week, 3 days a week, it doesn't matter. Well, one of the concepts that I brought up, I said it's always was one of the most, in my opinion, one of the better, people look forward to it, work weeks of the year. What's one of everybody's favorite work week of the year? Not everybody's, but most people. Thanksgiving week, right? Everybody's looking forward to Thanksgiving. I remember we were younger. Wednesday night out before Thanksgiving, that was one of the best nights to go out of the entire year, right? Most people, you technically work on Friday, but nobody really goes in. Everybody calls in sick. So who cares? You work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, it's the same concept. You want to put in a few hours doing something over the course of the week. Or again, you find something that you're passionate about that you might want to do more. And again, you have the flexibility nowadays. It's for all these senior citizens out there, or I wouldn't call them that. I don't like that phrase. People that again, they've finished one part of their life. You retire from your first career. If that's what you decide to do, that's just a chapter. You got to move on to the next one. And the more productive you are, the healthier you're going to be. I'm just telling you, mentally, physically, I can't stress that enough. Anyway, I already mentioned Snap, Bed Bath & Beyond, talked about that. No need to go over that further. Job openings we talked about. Oh, yes, this is, again, I think it's a good sign when it comes to inflation. Eventually, we knew that this was going to happen. Used car prices are starting to come down. We are the Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index that tracks what dealers pay for used cars at auction is at a year low. And that's the biggest plunge we've seen since April of 2020. Again, still have a ways to go, but again, it's trending in the right direction. Is this based upon the Federal Reserve and their actions? No, I don't believe that to be the case. I don't believe that to be the case at all. Sorry. We're starting to see more cars. You're driving by lots now. I'm not just talking about used cars. I'm talking inventory. Okay. The emails are starting to pick up. I'm starting, my email box is starting to get filled from the auto dealerships there. We have inventory. What was a Jeep dealership near where I live, and I think it's the number one Jeep dealership in the country. Very hilly here where I live. But anyway, we've got Wagoneers in stock. Come by, check it out, all this stuff. Again, do I think that they're incredibly overpriced? I do. And again, I think that needs to come down to some degree. But again, it's going to take time. But at least the inventory is coming in. When the inventory starts to pile up and the inventory doesn't move, guess what? They're going to have to find a way to move it. They're going to have to drop their prices. Again, getting back to the cure for higher prices oftentimes is higher prices. It's another thing. U.S. life expectancy fell again in 2021, decreased by a year. 76.1 years. I mean, it's been obviously coming down since COVID. 2020, it dropped by 1.8 years. And again, it's not just COVID. It's also opiate overdoses. I mean, let's be honest. Who's dying of opiate overdoses? Over 100,000, 108,000 that's just opiates. 108,000 died last year. Those are younger people. Changes the dynamic of the numbers. And of course, COVID's always been a problem. However, that will change. It will start going in the other direction, especially for older people that take care of themselves. Again, I've often stressed, I said, you better plan, especially if you take care of it, you better plan on a multi-decade. If you're going to stop working, you better make sure you have the money on hand that you're going to live for an extended period of time. The type of technology that's coming down the road, the ability for people to live longer and healthier lives, it's available to everyone. So you need to prepare for it. I know we've seen this drop over the past couple of years. And again, a lot of it having to do with COVID, and most certainly a lot of it having to do with drug overdoses. Again, if you don't fall into that camp, you got to expect that you're going to be living longer. Anyway, let's go out to, we mentioned this yesterday on the program, talked about fast food operators mobilizing against the California wage bill. They're trying to get Gavin Newsom to veto this. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what he's going to do. I think he's kind of stuck at this point in time because I don't think he's that stupid. But he also knows where his bread is buttered. He knows that he survived a recall election because the unions helped him. So again, it's a decision that he's going to have to make. But $22 an hour starting next year. $22 an hour starting next year for fast food workers. I can't stand it. It's almost like a derogatory term for some a-holes. Say a burger flipper. Well, you know what? Blank you. I was a burger flipper. My son was flipping burgers this summer. Nothing wrong with flipping burgers. Nothing at all. Nothing wrong being a server working in these places. It's a great line, and I just popped in my head. It was the Roberto Benigni movie. Life is Beautiful. Okay. And there was a scene where he's at the beginning of the movie, he's waiting tables and working in a hotel, and the captain of the waiters, I can't remember the scene properly. He said something like, I'm just, a server. And he's like, God serves. There's a lot to be learned working in the service industry. If you don't think that when I'm interviewing people and I'm looking at people, you don't think that I ask about whether or not they worked in the hospitality industry? Okay? Those people can handle things differently than others can. And oftentimes you can spot them. Kind of a fisherman sees a fisherman from afar. You can spot them and their ability to handle problems and deal with problems. But anyway, what do you think is going to happen if you start telling businesses they got to charge $22 an hour and they can't afford to do it? Kiosks, automation. Chipotle. We already talked about Chipotle. It's going to get automating some of its processes right now. It has to. You're going to see businesses say, you know what? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not, the risk reward model is just not there. We're going to decide to shut this down. We're going to move elsewhere. What is this going to do? Maybe not to fast food restaurants, but to smaller restaurants and diners are not considered fast food. They're not considered franchises. They're going to lose their workers because of the $22 an hour. I mean, it is what it is, people. It doesn't work. The government should never dictate minimum wage. I'm sorry. You let the market decide. And the market has already decided. We've got over 11 million job openings here in this country. Kids are graduating with bachelor's degrees in certain fields making six figures. That's crazy to me. But it's true. It's what the market is dictating right now. I talked about how much my daughter makes babysitting. It blows my mind. How much money my son was making flipping burgers at the yacht club. Great, fantastic, but it's what the market is saying. Businesses are going to afford to pay people what they can afford to pay them. That's the reality, my friends. That is the reality. They're not going to put themselves out of business. And most certainly, they're not going to continue to expand in markets where it's not conducive. Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, there's some energy stories. I know we've talked a lot about this of late. I do think it's important. Russia, magically, we got more maintenance. Beep. We got more maintenance required here. Russia halts Nord Stream gas pipeline, ratcheting up pressure on Europe. You don't say. Here's some stories in and around Europe. Netherlands, The Hague, their administrative capital, is seeking temporary exemption from EU sanctions against Russia. Swiss politicians petition for country to keep nuclear power. Japanese firm signs a new liquefied natural gas deal with a Russian company. And here we have today, and again, to me, this is there's some intelligent things in this column. This is Holman Jenkins, Wall Street Journal today. But there's some things in here that, quite frankly, I just think are just ridiculous. He's kind of cheering on from afar, from the friendly confines of the United States, where no, not about it. Our energy prices have gone up, but it ain't Europe. He's saying Europe will be rewarded sooner than it thinks. No, if it keeps its nerve. Leave price signals intact. Help households and businesses with cash grants as necessary to tamp down social eruptions. Again, you got to throw out money to keep people from rioting, but don't subsidize consumption directly. Let towering energy prices guide users to conserve and adapt as best they can. Let prices reward producers for doing all they can to goose output and make sure it gets to those who value it most. In Spain right now, you're not allowed to drop the air conditioner below 80. Yeah. Hold on. It's great here, buddy, that you're telling them that how they got to live their lives, and talked about the Sophie's choice that certain countries are going to have to make when it comes to businesses. But anyway, sorry, bub. The best way, he says, to outmaneuver Vladimir Putin is by convincing him Europe isn't going to fold. He will lose money. His gas industry and its customer relations will be destroyed. Yeah, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. How did Europe do? Germany, France, Napoleon, Hitler. How did they do against Russia during the winter? Russia's got a long history of beating people in the wintertime. Just saying. It's pretty freaking cold up there. I mean, again, I went to school in Syracuse, New York, which has some of the worst weather in the country. And you couldn't pay me to go back up there in the wintertime. These people choose to live in Russia. I mean, you're a bit hardier than others. We're going to have to come up with a contingent from Minnesota, for crying out loud, to fight these guys. Are you out of your mind? Russia does pretty well in the wintertime. Anyway, they're saying that Vladimir's going to lose money. We've been hearing that since the sanctions started there, Holman. And the exact opposite is true, my friend. The exact opposite. There was a story I was reading yesterday. They're selling oil to the Chinese. The Chinese are turning around and selling it back to Europe. Exactly what we told you was going to happen. Anyway, I like this though. Here's where he's right. Undiluted corruption drove Germany's choice to rely excessively on natural gas as a power source, dumping its coal and nuclear plants. The corruption was paraded daily in the form of Gerhard Schröder, collecting millions on the boards of Gazprom's Nord Stream pipeline affiliate Rosneft. Again, don't doubt me. We told you about this, a decade and a half ago, and then some. I remember being at a freaking conference with Gerhard Schröder was the speaker. This guy was rubbed me the wrong way. But anyway, Germany didn't need to stop patronizing Russian gas. I pointed out 4 years ago, don't need to stop at every step lending itself to the enhancement of Russia's energy power. But it was more important at the time to serve up German voters magical talk of energy transition. Gee, does that sound familiar? That's the crap that we're getting right now. Yeah, people, okay, all you people that love this Biden Inflation Reduction Act and all these subsidies, are you out of your mind? Okay? Again, you know what? Again, 3D chess for conservatives and Republicans out there. Again, you want to win, right? You want to win. And sometimes in order to win, you need to be deceptive. Sun Tzu, the ROI, talks about, war being about deception. And sometimes you want to win a battle. Sometimes you gotta do it. You got to be deceptive. You got to be tricky. You got to throw a fake pass. You got to look something. Why don't conservatives, Republicans, even if you don't believe so, why don't you just say, you know what? Tap out. Climate change is real. It's happening. Climate change. Why don't you come out and say climate change is real? And what you do then is you say, okay, we're with you now, but let's have a common sense approach from getting from point A to point B. Let's not do utopia crap. We're with you right now. We're going to do energy transformation, but we're going to do it in a way that makes sense. We're not going to destroy our economy in the process. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Then you can have investments flowing back to oil and gas because then you could get some sort of compromise. And what's the worst thing that could happen there? I don't know. It seems to me a much better alternative. Anyway, again, it's ideas. There was actually a piece today, Joseph Epstein and the Wall Street Journal. And again, echo. So many columns in the Wall Street Journal end up becoming basically echo of what we're doing here well ahead of time. Talking about the Republicans need to come up with something. Do something. Come up with a plan. Again, I love the immigration plan that was put forward by, and again, it was Diaz from Miami, the representative there for dealing with dreamers and dealing with illegals. Makes sense. 15-year strategy, no handouts, no giveaways, a myriad of different things. Love it. Jump on board that. Come up with positive solutions to problems. Even the climate change thing. You can do that. Say, you know what? We're going to be all in, but you know what? We're going to do this in a common sense approach. No more cylindras. Anyway, I'm sorry, and I know I got a lot of super Trumpsters that listen to this, and they always get aggravated at me when I'm critical of the Trumpster. I'm sorry. This tweet that he put out, Um, I get it. You got the Hunter Biden laptop thing, and you got the was a documentary that's coming out. Um, but Trump calling for them a new election right now, and some of the stuff he's putting out on social media. I'm sorry, he reminds me of he's starting to become Abe Simpson. Homer's dad in The Simpsons. I'm sorry, he's becoming Abe Simpson. That episode of Simpsons where it was a newspaper article where Abe Simpson's holding his fist. He's looking at the cloud. Old man gets angry at cloud. I mean, are you serious? Do you really think that your tweet is going to get anywhere? That they're yep, that's it. That's it. We're going to nullify the election and we're going to hold another one right now. He's actually calling for that in a tweet. Honestly, do you help your cause that way? I mean, does that sound the slightest bit feasible, the slightest bit realistic in any way, shape, matter, form? No, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com is our site. All sorts of great stuff there. Do you want to learn about how we build the architecture, our foundational portfolios? Get there. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We'll see you.